Imagine walking into a garage and instead of a rusty lawnmower, you find rows of abandoned tanks with the keys still inside. In late 2024, Syrian rebel fighters experienced something similar during their surprise three-day offensive, in which a coalition of Syrian opposition groups stormed through Syrian army lines, causing President Bashar al-Assad's army to collapse in Syria's northwest. That little weekend project casually ended 5 decades of Assad family rule. Assad fled to Moscow and the Syrian military effectively disintegrated. One funny side effect of Assad's fall was the sheer amount of heavy weaponry the rebels suddenly acquired. And today we're going to look at what tanks and other armored fighting vehicles the rebels captured and what happened to them afterwards. Before we get into the sauce, I would like to announce that you now have the chance to look behind the scenes of me producing these videos. I will also share with you very interesting documents and other content I find while doing research for my videos. And trust me, there's quite a few. Or you can also just get to know me better if you just want to support me. You will receive these benefits by becoming a member of my channel or by joining my Patreon. You will find the links for more information in the video description. Anyways, let's get back to the video. The regime's collapse turned the Syrian army into, as some observers joked, the biggest supplier of weapons to the opposition, because apparently no one thought to, blow it up on the way out. Almost all of the army's equipment was still intact and not destroyed. Over just a few days, opposition fighters seized hundreds of armored vehicles and other heavy weapons. An open-source intelligence tally counted 423 pieces of heavy weaponry captured in the northern offensive alone. To break that down, roughly 150 main battle tanks of various models, along with 69 BMP series tracked infantry fighting vehicles, at least 9 armored personnel carriers such as BTR-60 or BTR-80s, and a handful of armored cars and scout vehicles. The tanks were older Soviet-designed T-54 and T-55 and T-62 tanks, which are Cold War workhorses that the Syrian army had in storage. They also captured many T-72 tanks, including upgraded variants that had been the backbone of Assad's armored units. Most remarkably, rebels even got their hands on a few of Syria's most modern tanks, Russian-made T-90A main battle tanks. One rebel statement claimed that in the initial phase of the offensive in Aleppo, they seized 31 tanks of different modifications, along with 20 BMP armored vehicles and a dozen artillery pieces. This claim was borne out by visual evidence and would only grow larger as the rebels advanced further south. Armored fighting vehicles were not the only prizes though. The rebels effectively overran bases and depots, seizing a whole catalog of weapons. They took truckloads of ammunition and small arms, anti-tank guided missiles, artillery guns, and even some high-tech systems that no one expected to see in opposition hands. For example, at Aleppo's military airfield, the insurgents captured a number of L-39 Albatros jet trainer or light attack aircraft that had been collecting dust in their hangars just like your forgotten gym membership. That's a joke. Several fighter jets and surface-to-air missile systems were among the spoils as well, but many of the captured jets stayed grounded because rebel forces lacked trained pilots and technicians, and some were likely non-operational to begin with. So basically, the opposition suddenly possessed the kind of heavy arsenal that they had only been able to dream about earlier in the war. Years worth of military aid dropped into their lap overnight, and now all of this stuff could be immediately turned around and fired right back at the people who paid for it. It's like stealing your retired neighbor's lawnmower and then using it to run over his precious gardenias. So what did the rebels do with this trove of tanks and armored vehicles? In the short term, they wasted no time pressing these captured vehicles into service. Many tanks were still fueled up and in running condition when captured, so rebel fighters quickly repainted or reflagged them and drove them towards the next front. Within days, rebel tank crews were using the seized armor to advance on other cities. For example, after Aleppo, opposition forces rolled further south and by early December took over Hama, Homs and even Dara with little resistance. The newly captured tanks acted as a force multiplier. The rebels suddenly had the firepower to punch through any remaining pockets of loyalist resistance. And that's why there wasn't even any fighting in some cases. Because rebel units showed up in tanks and AFVs, remaining regime troops knew that they couldn't do anything about them. The best next move for them was a career change. But using the captured tanks did come with challenges. Operating and maintaining armored vehicles isn't easy for insurgents, but luckily for them, plenty of rebels were ex-Syrian army crewmen who already knew which buttons to push and which ones definitely not to push. Still, the biggest headache was organizing logistics. Fuel, spare parts, and ammo for tanks all had to be secured first before they could use them. Fortunately for the rebels, huge ammunition depots were also captured alongside the vehicles. Going forward, these captured armored fighting vehicles became a key asset for the rebels in securing the country. They helped the opposition establish authority on the ground and deter any immediate attempts by pro-Assad remnants, Shia militias, or other groups like ISIS to reverse the gains. However, the rebels also understood that a tank can be a double-edged sword. Without proper maintenance crews and a steady supply chain, complex machines like the T-90A or T-72 could break down. And that's why owning a Russian tank is a lot like owning a boat. The two happiest days are the day you get it and the day it finally breaks down. There was also the issue of friendly fire identification. When half of your tanks used to belong to the enemy, it gets awkward very fast. Therefore, distinguishing friend from enemy required clear marking and communication. Therefore, opposition forces painted new markings and flags on all captured armor and coordinated via joint operation rooms. Anyways, that was all I had for you today. Let me know what you think about the situation in Syria and whether or not the new government will be able to make good use of these tanks or not. And yeah, don't forget to check out my Patreon and my YouTube membership, and I will see you in the next video.